Rockhound State Park, you guys won that parade. Oh, no. Excellent.
My first statement was always,
Yes. Yes. There you go. Welcome. Oh, good, good.
I think it's gonna last.
That's excellent.
I'm celebrating 66 years today.
So I'm an acting gymnast, but we love our acting. Oh, there it is. How are you, my friend? How are you doing this morning? Good, excellent, yes. Welcome aboard. Thank you. Hello. Okay.
You got married good? Okay. You beat me by 3 years. I got married at 45. And I wasn't gonna get married then, so he came around. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Just cleaning up after my kids. The candles are glow sticks for the season of Advent. Aren't those fun?
Okay.
Okay, we will get started on parables in just a moment.
And how are you?
I'm good now. I got my coffee here.
Okay.
And how's everybody back there?
Doing pretty well. Thank you.
Okay. You too? Over here? Okay.
We're gonna work some parables tonight. I don't think the
I put your name in.
Here, you need it.
Good morning, everybody. If you're out in the lobby area, it's 10:32, so let's get this show started with parables. Come and join us for parables, if you would, please. Everybody's out of town.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
That's okay. We can have a good conversation regardless.
So, how are you all this morning?
Good.
Yeah?
We saw the Aggies win a nail biter, and several of us from the church,
Nail biter.
a nail biter.
It was at the last minute.
It was kind of a little bit of a nail biter. Great game. Great game. Kind of a question mark on that, isn't it?
Right, right. Not a great game, but at least
This year they haven't been turning the ball over. They turned it over 3 times. Highly unusual.
It was-
How much we're in the state? How much more exciting than it is? 43 seconds to go. Jacksonville State kicks the field goal to tie the game. Oh no, we're going to overtime. We're freezing. Hold on. Aggies get the kickoff. Drive down the field, kick a 42-yard field goal to win it as time expired.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, are we live?
Are we? Aren't you alive right now?
I am alive. Are we live? Okay. So we're talking about the Aggie football game. Steve, as you're talking, it made me think of Jason's experience as a color commentary person. He would go around for McMurray University with a good friend of ours, David Bacon, who's a sports reporter, and Jason would provide the color commentary, and he was so good at it. You would be good at it too. I can hear the voice. I'd listen to you. So the kids were really small. The older two were really, really small. And Jason would travel all over the big country and beyond for these football games. And the kids and I would just sit by the app, the phone, and listen to him. And they'd say, "It's Daddy, it's Daddy." So those were good memories.
I'm surprised that you didn't just like drive them around town on the Winters Freeway. And the Winters Freeway is a 2-lane highway to Winters, home
Yeah.
of the blizzards.
Home of the blizzards, the Winters blizzards in Texas, and
In the big country.
never a blizzard to be had.
Yeah, never. Well, I would say the 2 coldest, windiest days I've ever had in my whole entire life were a day in Chicago, of course, and nights in winter in Abilene when
Yes,
there's
but
nothing
no
stopping the wind.
snow.
There's nothing stopping the wind from Canada. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's a similar situation. Well, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. That's the theme of our talk today. We had such great success with our Halloween stories. We thought we would talk about our Thanksgiving traditions and our memories and the meaning that we have of that. Correct?
Sure. Do you like Thanksgiving?
I love Thanksgiving.
What is it that you love about Thanksgiving?
Well, I love the food. I love the turkey and the dressing and the mashed potatoes and the gravy. You got to get the cranberry sauce mixed in there, all of it together. I make a great sandwich called the Gobbler. I learned about this from a convenience store in New Jersey. It's in that area of the world. It's called the Wawa. You know the Wawa? So I used to walk to the Wawa by the Dinky, which was a little train station in Princeton. And in the Wawa, you could walk in. I'm sure you still could. And you go to the computer. There's a touch screen, and you build your sandwich. But they had a menu as well. And so the Gobbler was this warm hoagie roll with the turkey and the cheese and the dressing and the cranberry sauce and the gravy all in one delectable, terribly messy sandwich. That's my favorite.
Okay.
I would eat it every day, like all year long.
There was a place in Denver that had something like that. It was right next to the Paramount Theater. It was called the Paramount Sandwich Shop, and it's no longer there. But you would go in, and it would be a menu board as big as that wall there, with 590 different sandwiches. And what was crazy is that you would if you'd say like I want the Gobbler, they would be like, what number is that? Because they had to memorize by numbers, not by like sandwich names.
Yeah, there's a place in Princeton called Hoagie Haven that's a lot like that. So I do love the food. Thanksgiving's growing up, we lived next door to my grandmother, and so all the aunts
Like
and
next
uncles and
door
cousins-
or like next farm over.
we could walk through a path that
Right.
connected our houses, but they weren't really super close. But we would have all the holidays together with all the aunts and uncles and cousins. And that was really fun because everybody would just bring a potluck. So I think that's where I found a love for Thanksgiving because we were always together.
At your grandmother's, was it a party line on the phone or
I mean, I remember when there was a party line because we were in very rural Texas. So the phone was still on the wall.
Right.
Right. And we all had these local numbers. It was so localized that you only had to use 4 numbers. Right. You didn't have to use the first 3. So yeah, I remember when there was still a party line.
and it
in
had
that
like a special
community.
ring, like your grandma's might have been like 2 rings. And,
Yeah, I do remember that. Gosh, I'd forgotten about that. So the Thanksgiving togetherness is a really important part. But for my family now, and this really started during COVID. It was just the 5 of us. Olivia was a baby. We have made Thanksgiving a day of fun and games. So we played turkey tag with the little clothespins. Like we put little googly eyes on the clothespins and we color them like feathers and we put them on our shirts and we run around trying to grab each other's clothespins. We play a gobble wobble walk. So you put the balloon at your knees and you try to do a relay race and walk really fast. And so we have different games that we play. We did a lot of that during COVID for birthdays and for Christmas, and it was a rough year for many of us in so many ways before the vaccines. But we made some really good family memories, and Thanksgiving was a huge part of that too. So I love the food, but I love the togetherness that's available to us if we're willing to seize it. What about you? Do you like Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I mean, well, having worked so many years in retail, Thanksgiving is it's just a great day just to crash and burn before you are going to work for the next 4 weeks, 80 hours a day. And I had a district manager at one place that I would work. He would be like, if you would work 6 days a week, we'll just give you an extra week, after Christmas. But by the time you got to that extra week, so basically what you're doing is you're stacking an extra day off, for this week. And you're just so exhausted by the time it's all over because before you could get to that week, you had to do inventory. So, Thanksgiving just was like this big kickoff to hell. Yeah, but as a kid, I was thinking about this on Thursday. We woke up and watched the parade, and then as soon as the Macy's parade was over, they showed the parade in El Paso. And so on Thanksgiving Day, my dad would wake me up, and we would get up and go, and we would go to the start of the parade and then walk around and see all the floats and everything like that, it was the best way to see the parade, actually, because you'd go and see all the floats and everything, and you could walk it at your pace. You could walk it slow, you could walk it fast, and then you've seen the parade
Before it starts.
right. So you'd get to say hi to people that you knew on the floats and stuff like that. And then always, there was hospitality, like RVs that would be like hospitality booths for whatever organization was doing whatever booth or whatever. And so we knew, most of those people. And so, I'd come home like loaded in donuts and, just, I can remember one Thanksgiving, being a precocious teenager and growing up in El Paso, alcohol was kind of a part of life, kind of in a way, and in the sense that because we'd go to Juarez, and so I think I was like a senior in high school, and walking down where the parade was going, there's a bunch of law firms. So where you see it on TV, there's a bunch of old houses, and most of those old houses are homes to law offices. And so we knew a lot of those lawyers, and so I drink a lot of mimosas, like a lot. And so as punishment, my dad didn't say anything, but he did say as we sat down to dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, Stuart, would you bless this meal? I don't know if it was like the best blessing or, but it was, I mean, it was a, like a quick snap of like sobering up to pull it off in front of everybody else.
Be responsible in the moment. It's funny. Do you know the story of the Vicar of Dibley? Do you know that television show on BBC? It's a sitcom. It's not on air anymore, but it's about a pastor, a woman, and there is this episode where she's leading Christmas Eve services, and I think she has like maybe 3. So she goes to the first 2, and then she goes home, and she forgets about the third one, and she starts drinking her wine, and then she gets a call. We have another service. So she goes back up to. There's a similar moment, I think, that has never happened to your pastor. Right. So, do you all have Thanksgiving stories, maybe of travel experiences or greeting people at home or something exciting that happened on Thanksgiving? Come on, Dale. Why don't you take my seat?
Well, just give her the mic.
Okay, when I was a child in Minneapolis, I think I was about maybe around 10 years old, and on Thanksgiving, that was the only child and acquaintances and family at the time. My brother was like 12 years older, so he was an adult then. And so one Thanksgiving, we came over. We had no TV even, so there wasn't too much to do. And as a child with adults and conversation and stuff, I got bored. And as I like to do now, I decided I'd like to go for a walk. So I got permission to go for a walk. And knowing full well my tendency to wander off in long distances, they said, okay, you can go for a walk, but you stay on Oakland, which is the street I lived on. So I went out there, and I walked, and I stayed on Oakland. And I got all the way to the end of Oakland, which was 5 miles. And so as I started back, my somewhat not surprised, but somewhat distraught relatives got in one of the cars and came and got me. So that was a Thanksgiving I kind of remember. I said, you can't punish me because I did what you said. I stayed on Oakland.
So a walk on Oakland Street. Anybody else have any great Thanksgiving or just a memory? Come on, Vern.
Once in a while in Denver, it does snow. And in 1982, there was, on Thanksgiving Eve, there was about a 24-inch snow. And we had family in town, and we were going to take part of our, it was going to be kind of a potluck thing for Thanksgiving dinner. And there was no way we could even get out of our street on that. So we checked the neighbors across the street, and they were in the same boat. And next door to them, same boat. Next door to us, the same boat. So 4 of us families got together and pooled our all of our meals. And we had everything you could imagine. We had the turkey, we had the dressing, we had the desserts. And so it was just a great meal and a great memory. So
It's really good. Thank you. That's good. Yeah.
you remember 82?
I was not in Denver in '82. My brother was, but usually winter, the kickoff to winter was Halloween, because it was just really a flip of the coin in Denver whether it was going to snow. Well, it'd be one of 3 things. It would be either a beautiful night, it'd either snow, or it'd be like this rainy, drizzly, just like kind of night. So that's the way it was in Denver. Steve Georgie, I think you have a story of Thanksgiving, do you not?
A recent one, yeah.
Oh, recent. Wow. Steve Georgie has this look of, I have something to say.
I think this is probably one of Sue and my best Thanksgivings. We went to Colorado where it's snowing and stuff like that. We're not really used to that anymore. We've passed that, but we went to visit our former pastors in California, who we'd known for 30-some years. We saw both of their kids grow up from little babies all the way up. The daughter got married and moved to the Denver area, and then she had a baby, and then she got divorced, and her parents would go back and forth to Colorado to visit. That's a neat thing. Then occasionally they would come down here to Las Cruces to spend time with us, then head back to California. Both of them retired in June. Prior to that, they decided they'd like to retire near their daughter and granddaughter. So they had a house built in Denver, and they invited us to their Thanksgiving. We have pretty much been family to their family for 30-some years. We got to meet the brothers and sisters, the moms and dads, and we were just the Georgies. And because our kids are far away pretty much, that was our Thanksgiving. It was always good because we felt like family. It's kind of like walking into Morning Star Church for the first time and looking around and talking to people and feeling like this is family. So we had our family time with our pastors, their daughter and the granddaughter whom we'd not seen yet, but we decided we wanted to capture her and take her with us because she's just so cute and so smart and funny. She's 5 years old. So we got to see the daughter whom we hadn't seen for a long time. We ate everything that you wanted to eat for Thanksgiving, and then some, and then we left and came back here. But it just was a very special Thanksgiving for us. No funny stuff here.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Anybody? Oh,
There you are. I'll take it back. Anybody else with thoughts of Thanksgiving? Yes, Miss Keever, you have to come. Yeah, I know you don't want to. I can't go that far. I wish I could. And the thing is that your friend Judy wants to hear your voice and see your face.
This is probably my best Thanksgiving also this year. My brother and sister-in-law got married on Thanksgiving years ago, and the night before their wedding, my father died unexpectedly of a heart attack. So it was a pretty bizarre wedding. They went ahead through the ceremony. They didn't have a reception, but they got the ceremony done because her family was in town, and so they did that. And it was just terrible, you know. So every year, although we have those memories, you know, we try to celebrate their anniversary anyway. This year was their 50th wedding anniversary. And it was in Albuquerque, and I went up there, and we had a wonderful time and a big party, and all the family was there, and the grandkids were there. And it was probably the best Thanksgiving ever. And I know it was the best wedding anniversary for them because my sister-in-law said that she didn't get any wedding pictures during their wedding, but she got pictures this time. So she was really happy about that.
She told me about this last Saturday when I saw her. And I was thinking about it. My parents got married close to Thanksgiving, either before or right after. And I think it was kind of a Depression era kind of thing to do because you could kind of smash two holidays into one, you know, a wedding and Thanksgiving dinner, you know, all into one kind of thing. So I'm sure that there's lots of stories like that, but that's great that you got to go and do that. And that the weather was in your favor for driving, right? Well, you know, Albuquerque's, even in the summer, it's a cold place because, you know, it's Albuquerque. Anybody else, any stories? Janet, come on down.
Thank you. Mine's a very different type of Thanksgiving story because my family was so different from every other family of any family that I ever knew. But we lived in Roswell when I was growing up. We lived in Carlsbad first, after coming from Illinois, then Roswell. And my mom was executive director for the Red Cross chapter in Roswell, so she was a really busy person. I inherited every non-domestic gene from my mother that you could possibly inherit. My mother was not a cook, nor am I. My mother was not a house cleaner. I do clean house on occasion. But one year, she said, we're going to host a Thanksgiving. Well, we had never done anything like this with like 12 or 15 people. We had a rental home. They never owned a home till they moved to here in their 60s. So my mother, we're in the rental house, had a ram's head on the wall. It was the owner of the home left her some of her furnishing, and one was a ram's head. My mother hated it so badly, and she said, I don't know what we're going to do. We have this horrible ram's head on the wall. What she did is got all of her costume jewelry, and that ram had every bit of costume earrings, it had necklaces, and the other part of that, and it turned out great. It was a very nice day. My father was so strange. I mean, he had a business. He managed the $1 Million Museum in White City for years and years. He was like a carnival barker type of person. That's the only way I can explain my dad. So in our front yard at Thanksgiving was a full-mounted buffalo on a trailer, because my dad took stuffed animals around to schools and showed them. So we were the only family in Roswell with a ram's head that was decorated on the wall and a buffalo in the front yard.
Anybody else?
I can paint you a picture. I have a memory that recurs year after year, or it had recurred year after year.
Yeah, paint us that picture.
Yeah, I'll paint a picture for you.
Well, you know, for many in this crowd, this picture will be familiar that I'm going to set up here. For some, it may be a bit odd. I'm going to take you back about 60 years, give or take. We didn't have streaming services. We didn't have DVDs. We didn't have VCRs. We didn't have cable. We had an antenna on the roof, or you had rabbit ears on top of the television to get your signal that was broadcast over the air. The remote control was dad telling son to get up and change the channel. That was the remote control. I was in Avenel, New Jersey, not far from New York. You had 3 major networks, right? CBS, NBC, ABC. In New York, we were always also blessed to have WPIX, Channel 11, home of the Yankees, and WOR, Channel 9, home of the Mets. That's your picture. The recurring memory, and my sisters probably have a better idea of what channels came on. I think it was CBS. Every Thanksgiving, they broadcast The Wizard of Oz. And the whole family would gather in front of the television and watch. Remember, you couldn't, just dial up a movie or record a movie or put in a DVD or VCR. So every Thanksgiving, we waited all year to watch The Wizard of Oz. And that's one recurring memory that I'll never forget. And we had a phone on the wall, and it was a 4-family party line, and our memory was ME4 4796. Mercury 4 4796. That's it.
Did any of you pay attention to Mad Men? Mad Men, it was a television show about Madison Avenue and the advertising men who was a great show. It was set in like late 50s or early 60s. But the attention to detail in that show is because you can't find a television that does this. So, and what's crazy is you can now buy this thing. So they find old TVs and put like new screens in them. And if you remember, turning off the TV, it would like shrink down to a little dot, and the little dot would stay on the screen for a certain amount of time before it slowly faded out. Well, in Mad Men, he would get frustrated because like the dot's not small enough, it's not bright enough, it doesn't stay on long enough, and they got down to that detail. But what's crazy now with these screens that we have is you can now order, this is the big thing on Christmas right now, is you can order like a vintage television screen frame to go around your flat screen TV to remind you of having to get up and change the channel, and then if the dial broke, you'd have a pair of vice grips on the thing, right? Yeah, we had all that. Well, those are our Thanksgiving memories, and we're excited that you shared them with us. Do you have a last thought? You do, of course. You're a pastor.
I was remiss in not saying this before. My mother's birthday is November 23rd, and Natalie's birthday is also November 23rd. So my whole life, we have been working around birthday celebrations, and this year, of course, their birthdays were on Thanksgiving. So I would have been really sad to not mention that. It's really fun to be able to create a birthday that really is centered around Thanksgiving, and we're always grateful for the people that we're celebrating, right? So hopefully Natalie will remember that as a good thing, and not as I had to share my birthday thing. But she seemed to be okay with it today, and it hasn't scarred my mom, I don't think. So I'm really grateful for that as well, and I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for all of you and for today. So we're beginning Advent today, so I hope you are ready for that. If you have not gone to the first service, we'll have the second one coming up in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And next week, at Parables, Christmas hymn sing. We'll have a hymn sing. So be here, grab a hymnal. Leslie will help lead it. It's going to be a good time.
Be ready to call out your requests of O Little Town of Bethlehem. Of course, we have a pastor who has and believes in rules, so of course it's got to be in the hymnal.
Hey, I'm not in charge of the hymn sing.